My family in general, we're doers, we're givers. We do it very quietly because our belief is you get rewarded for it much more if you do it secretly, you know? So my mom was always a giver, my dad's always a giver. The things he did for his family, it left the impression on me as a child to do the same. My mom was definitely the matriarch of the family. So big dreams, big vision, big family. Everything was just big, and again, we came from very humble beginnings. Everybody had to have an American name at the time. You didn't get to pick your name, we picked it for you. So my dad was Jimmy, my mom was Nancy, and that's what they were named. So my mom wanted to live big, man, and she did, she honestly did. We nicknamed her Fancy Nancy, because she just wanted the fanciest things that you could ever imagine, which were impossible at the time.
She was always into, go big or go home, even parties, anything she thought of, and giving back was huge for her. As soon as she became stable, giving back was very, very huge for her. And she started giving back to where she knew she could, which were organizations. Whether it be the local mosques, whether it be organizations that gave back to third world countries, but she wasn't content. She wanted to do something bigger.
One day she said she wanted to do something. I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to do? She says, I want to open up a school or a center to be able to do something for all these kids, the kids that don't have the opportunities. So I said, okay, France, well, we got to be official then if you want to do something at the next level. So I said, okay, that means if we're going to buy a building, we need to be a non-for-profit.
We were coming up with a universal name that would fit the needs of everyone. It would not leave anyone out. We wanted something that had a positive connotation. And, my brother's name is Ray, nicknamed Ray. His name is Raed, but they nicknamed him Ray. So we were talking about sunshine, and my mom jumped up and was like, no, I want it Ray of Sunshine. He's my ray of sunshine her whole entire life.
The quote was, be a ray of sunshine for someone today. That's how this started. So I was a little hesitant, but Fancy Nancy always gets what she wants.
After she passed, we still had not gotten the nonprofit approval when she passed. And it kind of just stalled. And then 6 months after her death, my brother came to me and he said, we got to do something. We can't let this just die down. We got to do something with this. So we came up with, okay, let's give back to the community where we live.
That's as far as she got, the ray of sunshine. And I'm actually glad that she got to see at least that. So I'm thankful for that. I'm very grateful for that. She might be upset that I changed the name, but it's something I felt I needed to do to honor her and not just my mom, like all our moms. So I started the paperwork on my own. I went online and looked at the process, and it was actually a 3-year process to get it approved and recognized by the state, which is a pretty big deal. And last year we got officially recognized. And I went to start making the cards and making shirts, and just so we can get this thing going. She saw the cards, she got happy with the cards, she saw the shirts, and that's as far as she got. And then it just, the cancer caught her at that time. It was just that's it, the ride was over. And that's as far as she saw. So she never got to see where we're at. She never got to see anything else besides the cards and the shirt. And for a year, when she passed away, my family was devastated because we didn't think she was going to pass. We really didn't believe it. Nor were we prepared for it, So for a year, my family was a mess. One day, I'm just on my knees praying to God early morning, And I'm praying to God, send me something. I need something. I need something to keep my family together. I need something to get me through this, And literally, this center came to life a few hours later. Got a phone call from the same realtor that we've been using for 3 or 4 years that couldn't find anything. He found something in Teaneck.
Teaneck is a diverse community. It's made up of a lot of different ethnicities, so it's a mixed community. I happen to know several people who live in Teaneck. From my perspective, it seemed Teaneck was a perfect place. It was AUCC would flourish. It would provide something to the community that they all need.
And he tells me, I found something in Teaneck, but it's big. I'm like, well, my mom loves big. I love big too, you know, how big could it be? So I go see this place, I take a few of my people with me, and it was literally love at first sight. My people thought I was nuts, because it's a 1909 building, rat-infested, fire-ridden, water damage, shingles falling off the roof, but I saw a history. You know, I saw a historical building one day that stripped this building down and make it better than new, not knock it down, because it has rich history in it. That's how the center came to life, literally from a prayer, you know? But my mom definitely left a seed, and she left a seed in my heart, you know, before she left.
The name AUCC, Al-Ummah, stands for Mother. So that was part of the beginning.
Our president came up with the name of Al-Ummah. And the reason being, Al-Ummah means the people. You know, our constitution is we the people, right? So what better connotation is the people, and at the same time it derives from the word has a personal, very touch meaning for us, and it means mom. And we started this journey with our mother, and we want to continue it in honor of our mom, who has passed away almost 4 years ago. So we started getting setback, and they said, well, change the name so that way it's more universal to everybody. So we left it as Al-Ummah, but we used the acronym, AUCC. Anyone asked? And we also put in quotations under our logo, the People's Community Center. So everybody knew the meaning of AUCC. Whoever asked, we gave them what the words were, what AUCC actually stood for.
When we first brought up AUCC, when the dream actually became a reality on paper, we were faced with so much support and so much love from within our family, within our community, and we were so excited at the possibility of honoring my grandma's legacy in the best of ways. But slowly things began to change with the town, and what became just one meeting started to become another meeting and delayed and derailed meetings where we were faced with such hostility and tension, and that really, for me, when I look back at that, broke the spirit of AUCC because it harmed my family and it hurt my family.
So the first time I realized something wasn't right is when we were trying to open up the daycare for kids from 0 to 6. And the town was giving us a hard time and only allowing us to open up from 2.5 to 6. Meanwhile, we already have 2 daycares that are from 0 to 13. So we know how to run daycares. My family is in the daycare business. That was the first time something didn't feel right, where you're not allowing us to open up for 0 to 2.5 simply because you won't give us a permit to put a ramp on the building, an ADA compliant ramp. It didn't make any sense.
I realized we're not going to allow a smooth transition to complete this project. I felt it was discriminatory. There were some legal issues that needed to be completed, but in reality I felt that these things really would not have been an issue if it was some other group that would come in to create this project.
You know, at that time, diversity was struggling. You know, people were not open. It's not that they did not know, but people were not open to being with other people that were not of the same race. And everybody looked at everybody differently. And I was born and raised here. I did not wear the scarf originally. I've been wearing the scarf for about 20 years. And I can tell you, the year before my mom died, I was here for September 11th. I did not feel that backlash because New Jersey is very diverse. It's like the epitome of diversity, especially so close to New York. But with the former president's administration, the backlash I've seen, even with immigrants towards me, was like nothing I've ever witnessed my entire life. I'm 46 years old. So that being said, my mom also felt the need to kind of help. We need to do something.
And the second shot was when the Board of Ed had an interest in us opening the Board of Ed, which is separate from the town officials and the zoning department. At the end of the day, we had a contract with the town before we even bought the building. And we needed to open by September. And the town officials of Teaneck, they were making it not difficult, impossible to open for the school year. Meanwhile, out of the 105 kids, 60 of them are your kids from your town. They'd have to bus their kids to nearby towns because they don't have room in their district, in their township. So it was a win-win for everybody, at least we thought. Trying to knock down all these barriers, but they just kept putting up barriers and barriers and barriers. There's 9 bathrooms for the school side, 2 for the teachers and 7 for the children. Each class has its own bathroom. They gave us such a hard time. We had to redo the bathrooms twice because they wanted them handicapped accessible, all 7. Mind you that this is a bathroom for 2.5 to 6. The classrooms are designed for early childhood. No problem. Go back to the drawing board, redesign all the bathrooms, take up another 15 feet in each room because you have to make them bigger. Not a problem. They still weren't happy, and they found 1 bathroom out of the 7 that wasn't according to code. So the other 6 were code, which are identical, but not this one. So that was the second shot that was fired that told me that, you know what, something's not right here. And if something wasn't according to code, town official, why wouldn't you just tell us what is the problem? Why wouldn't you give me paperwork and write down what's the problem? So it wasn't about the bathroom. It was more about just the delay and to make sure, they wanted to make sure that we lost that contract. And that was the bottom line. It had nothing to do with the pipe because there was never paperwork written for what the violation was or what was against the code. There was no paperwork. It was just he say, she say. And at the end of the day, that's where we went wrong, that we could never sit them down at the table and say, give me the paperwork for this. Show me what you're saying. And they would never provide paperwork. They would just come and say no. And at the time, I didn't know. I didn't know how it worked. And they were dealing directly with the contractor, but I was there. I saw it. I witnessed it firsthand. That was the second sign that something wasn't right. And we actually lost the school year.
When things started going wrong, I was about 18 or 19 years old, and that's when I really had more of a seat at the table than my younger cousins and my younger siblings. And I honestly, a lot of the time, I didn't know what to say to my younger family members when we were wondering why the project was taking so long, why was there so much tension, why couldn't I see them at times, and why was there such anger between my family. And what I felt during that time was helplessness, because here I was old enough to hear and know what was going on, but at the same time, I couldn't do anything about it. So just, I guess in one word, during that time, I felt really helpless.
We need to make sure that we are allowed to build what we've set out to do. We need to make sure that the legal issues can be worked out. And we're hoping that everything is going to work out, God willing.
Where we are today, we filed a federal lawsuit against Teaneck for discrimination, and there's plenty of ammunition to back it. It gave me a chance, an opportunity to sit back and run everything play by play. Read all the transcripts, listen to the audios of the transcripts. I actually also did a OPRA request, Open Public Records Act, where I could pull all the paperwork from Teaneck about all the other projects in the area, and started realizing that we weren't getting treated the same as every other center, every other project. Currently, we're in mediation with Teaneck. It's our 5th meeting to try to mediate with them to come to some type of compromise. We're optimistic, but you gotta be realistic. Bottom line is they do not want you there. If it was a different organization, it would definitely be a different story, 100%. But they do not want you there. But this is part of the process, and I've accepted it. Hopefully they give us the CO, which is the permit, to open up the building that they already approved is finished with construction. Once we filed that federal lawsuit, I had a meeting with my family and friends and the volunteers that we have. We said, you know what, let's just work with what we got. Once we made that switch, a lot of amazing things started happening. One of them, a big one, was Brother Fraz. Ilias got tagged into this. He brought us $1 million grant from our government for free food to give out to organizations and people in need. And there was nothing more empowering and eye-opening than to see 2 tractor trailers, 18-wheelers, pull up to AUCC, and all these organizations come out there, and I'm talking about Christians, Jews, Muslims, local neighbors that were opposing this project, lined up around the block, and a big stamp on the box, AUCC at Ummah Community Center, handing out these boxes of free food from our government. Really changed the game. Made us official. And then after that, we started little programs for kids on the weekend, classes, science classes, arts and crafts classes. So we started working what we got. Instead of saying, well, what about the rest of this building? That's gonna come. It's gonna come. They can fight as much as they want. It's gonna come, but let's work with what we got.
It's a community center. It's a facility that offers services to the community. And your help, your positive input, your willingness to allow this to happen is going to help everyone involved. The possibilities are endless, and it's all to serve the community. That's really what it's about.
So we're being active. That's why we're here. And the people that are part of this organization, they're very humble, they're very quiet, but it's time for us to take the tape off our mouths and let people know why we're here and that we're not going nowhere.